Hello landlords, it's Ernie, and today we're talking all about evicting your girlfriend. Let's get started. So we're in the middle of a series of videos that I'm calling Landlord Lessons. And today's is a peculiar one. How often is it that you're going to be evicting your own girlfriend? Believe it or not, it's something that I've had to deal with on more than one occasion, where a party has come to me and says, look, I own this property, my girlfriend's living there and she will not get out. I need to recover my property so that I can lease it to another party or sell the property or do whatever. Sometimes this person wants to simply move back onto the property but wants the girlfriend gone because she's no longer the girlfriend. How do we accomplish this? Well, there is definitely a procedure. The eviction laws will allow for an owner to recover property from somebody who is there without just cause. However, if it turns out that they're entitled to stay, you're not getting your property back no matter how badly you want it. So if you do have a situation where you're looking to recover possession, you better make sure you're entitled to it. So definitely it sometimes comes to a point where, you know, a relationship breaks down and a boyfriend and girlfriend who were living together for some time simply don't want to continue that arrangement. And when it turns out that the owner of the property wants to stay and wants to remove the non-owner from a relationship that has ended, you know, sometimes the most efficient way to do that is by sending a notice to vacate and requesting that that party leave. Now, this is actually what the law requires. If you have a guest who remains on the property and refuses to leave, really the only way to get rid of them if they have established residency there is to send them a notice to vacate and say, look, we don't have an agreement for rent. It's time for you to move on. However, there are certain occasions, specifically when you have a domestic relationship, where the lines get a little blurry. So I once represented a client who came to me and said, look, I'm being evicted by my ex-boyfriend and I need help. So this was in the days when I was representing tenants exclusively, and so back in the early days I would take cases like this and show up to the court and try to see what, if anything, I could work out with a landlord. Unfortunately, this guy was just not having it. I reached out to him multiple times before the trial date. He wouldn't take my calls, he wouldn't talk, he was done. And so when we showed up at the time of trial, I presented to the court the following facts. Look, we have a party here who has delivered notice to vacate, but there are two issues that are going to stop this case right in its tracks. Number one is these are his children that are living on the property. And number two, these parties might be married. And so if the court loses jurisdiction, it cannot make a ruling in a particular eviction case. And one of the ways that a court can lose jurisdiction is if there are ownership interests to resolve in some other court. In this case, I introduced facts that would have to be resolved in the family court. And because those facts would have to be resolved in the family court first, the justice court, or the justice of the peace, was unable to rule in favor of this particular landlord. Hello everyone, I hope you have enjoyed the video so far. If you have, don't forget to give us a like, and if you haven't yet subscribed, please consider subscribing. What is the craziest situation you have found yourself in as a landlord? Have you ever had a peculiar situation where you've had to evict a friend or a family member? If so, let me know about it in the comments below. I am interested to hear what you have to say. So things get complicated when you're trying to evict friends or family members, particularly when that family member is a domestic partner. So I'm going to give you three things to consider before you rush to the courthouse to file for your eviction. Number one, if you have children with the party you are trying to evict, that just doesn't work out well. The court is not going to be quick to give you possession in a situation where you have your own children that you're putting out on the street. The optics are terrible, especially when the opposing party has the children with them at court. Things are a little different now with Zoom, and so a Zoom hearing might not be quite as dramatic, but at this time, well before the coronavirus pandemic, I mean, mom was there and all the kids were there, and the judge was like, "What are you doing, sir? This is a big deal." And, you know, it was one of those episodes where it kind of turns into one of those TV court dramas. You should avoid that. If there's no other way to resolve it, make sure that you've done everything you possibly can to work things out so that you can demonstrate to the court that this has a lot less to do with your children, for whom you are paying adequate support, and more to do with a person who is refusing to leave a piece of real property that they just are not entitled to possess. If you jump straight to the eviction, it's going to be complicated. Number two, and this one happens a lot, can the domestic partner that you're trying to evict adequately or affirmatively state that they are contributing to your mortgage payments? If so, you could have a real problem. It's very different when someone comes onto your property and you own that property out free and clear. You don't have a mortgage, you're not paying anybody for it, you were the title holder and you owned it free and clear prior to the domestic relationship. They come in and then you say, "Sorry, we're done, I would like for you to leave." They refuse to leave and you hand them a notice to vacate. Those are very different facts than if, for example, you are living together at some point, then you buy a house together, although your name is the only name on the deed. If at the time of the purchase you were already a domestic partner with this other person, and if that partner is contributing to the community, that is, they are working and funds are intermingled and they can show that they have contributed funds toward the payments of this property, you've got a different legal issue, right? This is not an arm's length transaction between a landlord and a tenant. And once you complicate the facts where the other party has actually been paying the mortgage directly even, you've got something to resolve, probably in a family court. And this gets us to number three. What if the person that you believe is only a domestic partner claims to be your spouse? This can happen, and the truth is, you're going to need to talk to a family law attorney to get some additional advice, because the rule for establishing a common law marriage in the state of Texas and in other states in the U.S., you know, it's not always real precise. It's a little bit muddy, and it's very fact intensive. And if this partner of yours claims, "We are married, and so I am," as is the case in Texas, "a community owner of the property in question," you can't evict another owner. And if someone's willing to make that statement and willing even to file for a divorce or file for what's called a SAPSR in the state of Texas, a suit affecting parent-child relationship, part of that lawsuit could involve this property and a division of the ownership interest of that property to this other partner. If you have a situation where someone can make that claim, there's really no way you can move forward with your eviction. You're going to have to wait for that issue to be resolved and for evidence to be presented to the district court, where a family law judge or a district court judge ruling in a family law matter can ultimately make a decision with regard to whether or not this partner has any ownership interest at all. Once that determination is made, though, you can proceed, assuming that the court has ruled in your favor. Otherwise, you just might be stuck. In fact, in certain situations, you might not be allowed access to the property at all. if it has become part of the community and part of a marital estate, and a court agrees that your spouse is entitled to possession, you're not getting it back. And so the district court can definitely step in and prevent the justice court from making a ruling. Even though nothing is on paper or nothing was ever on paper at the time that you filed your eviction, a district court or family court can step in and say, sorry, justice court, you just don't have jurisdiction. In fact, the responsible thing for the justice court to do is to say, we cannot move because I don't have the authority to make the determination that she or he definitely doesn't have an ownership interest. And so you may find yourself at the courthouse with nothing and without any ability to move forward. You can appeal it up to the next court, but chances are pretty high that the county court's going to say the exact same thing, that this is something that has to be resolved first at the district court level. So hopefully you never find yourself in a position where you're having to evict your ex-boyfriend or girlfriend. But if you are involved in a domestic situation where possession of property happens to be at issue, you're going to want to talk to an attorney. At the very least, talk to a real estate attorney with experience in eviction law. You may also have to involve a family law attorney to make a determination as to whether or not the other party has any kind of claim to, you know, a marital estate or some kind of ownership interest that would involve the family court. If you've learned anything or if you have enjoyed today's video, we greatly appreciate when you give us that encouraging thumbs up. Give us a like on today's video if that's the case for you. If you haven't yet subscribed, please consider subscribing. There's going to be a picture of my face on the screen that you can click to become one of our many subscribers. There's also a video on the screen here that you can click to watch even more content, something that YouTube seems to believe you will enjoy. Until next time though, landlords, thank you so much for watching. Happy leasing.